Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
So White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt announced that the Associated Press has been banned from the Oval Office for not honoring the recent renaming of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Television audiences were left stunned yesterday after a routine political segment erupted into one of the show's most explosive moments in recent memory. The discussion began with a focus on the rising influence of young conservatives, featuring Karoline Leavitt, a prominent new voice in the Republican Party. However, the conversation quickly escalated when tensions flared between Leavitt and veteran broadcaster and Hollywood icon Whoopi Goldberg. What started as a spirited exchange soon turned into a heated clash that visibly shook the studio atmosphere. Social media lit up as the live-streamed segment unfolded, with the hashtag quickly trending as viewers reacted in real time. The most shocking moment came when Goldberg, visibly frustrated, removed her microphone and walked off the set mid-discussion, leaving her co-hosts and the audience in stunned silence. Her abrupt departure marked a dramatic end to a segment that began with political commentary, but spiraled into something far more personal and intense.
Like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason.
My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex.
All right.
What'd she say?
She basically said that they were going to give
God, how boring.
unqualified people jobs.
Not so
Behind the
tedious.
Table podcast needs to apply for White House credentials. They'd love having Joy in that room.
Joy's on
I got a question.
So wait a second. So in other words, instead of Bob Woodward, they want Kim Kardashian? What? I don't...
Television audiences witnessed a seismic moment yesterday during a live broadcast that quickly spiraled from a political discussion into one of the most intense showdowns in recent memory. The segment, initially focused on the rise of young conservatives, took a sharp turn when Karoline Leavitt, a rising Republican figure, and Whoopi Goldberg, an iconic broadcaster and actress, clashed in a heated exchange that left the studio visibly shaken. As tensions mounted, Leavitt remained poised and shot Goldberg a piercing look before delivering a biting retort. "Whoopi, do you think your age gives you the authority to lecture us? As if you've single-handedly solved America's problems?" The room fell into a heavy silence, viewers riveted as the confrontation deepened. Goldberg, clearly incensed, launched into a passionate defense of her generation, citing the battles they had fought: civil rights, wars, and historic reforms. "You take for granted the freedoms we bled for," she said. "You think tweets and online outrage are the same as real sacrifice." But Leavitt didn't flinch. Her response was swift and cutting. "Did your generation really leave us a better country? Look around. Our borders are open, our economy is struggling, and our values are under siege. We're not trying to erase your legacy. We're trying to fix what's broken." The audience murmured uneasily, sensing the gravity of the moment. Then, suddenly, the tension snapped. Goldberg stood, removed her microphone, and turned toward the exit. "I don't care about this argument," she said coldly. "If truth still matters, I don't need to be here." She placed her water glass on the table with deliberate calm, then disappeared backstage, leaving behind stunned silence and a live camera still rolling. Social media exploded. The hashtag Dr. Whoopi Walks began trending within minutes. Viewers were starkly divided. Some praised Leavitt for standing firm, calling her bold and unyielding. Others rallied behind Goldberg, arguing she shouldn't have to tolerate what they saw as inflammatory and disrespectful rhetoric. The fallout was immediate. Supporters of Goldberg claimed she left because the debate had devolved into distortion and provocation. Others insisted her walkout was a refusal to face uncomfortable truths. Back on set, after a tense pause, Leavitt turned to the audience with a composed smile. "The truth can be uncomfortable," she said, "but we're not going to stop talking about America's future." Some clapped, others sat in uneasy silence. As co-hosts scrambled to regain control of the show, it was clear that the moment would be etched into television history. The debate has since ignited fierce commentary across platforms, with many asking, was Leavitt speaking truth to power, or was Goldberg right to walk away? From a conversation she deemed toxic? One thing is certain, this episode will be remembered for years as a flashpoint in America's ever-evolving cultural and political dialogue.
Be unequivocally clear about that. And watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
As a neutral observer, the recent on-air exchange between Karoline Leavitt and Whoopi Goldberg serves as a powerful reflection of the deeper ideological and generational divide shaping American political discourse today. Both women voiced concerns that resonated with different segments of an increasingly anxious and polarized public. Karoline Leavitt represents a younger generation that sees today's pressing issues: immigration, economic uncertainty, and cultural upheaval as evidence that previous generations may have failed to address the country's foundational problems. Her perspective reflects a growing impatience among younger conservatives who believe that bold new approaches are needed to safeguard the nation's future. On the other side, Whoopi Goldberg expressed visible frustration rooted in her generation's historical contributions. She defended the long-standing efforts of those who fought in wars, marched for civil rights, and shaped the very landscape that younger voices now challenge. To her, the critiques leveled by Leavitt may have seemed dismissive of the sacrifices and progress made over decades. Interestingly, the clash also raises important questions about how the media handles political discourse. Goldberg's decision to walk off set was polarizing in itself. For some, it symbolized a refusal to engage with rhetoric she found misleading or disrespectful. To others, it appeared as an unwillingness to tolerate dissenting views. Similarly, Leavitt's closing remark about continuing the conversation could be interpreted in two ways: as an assertive call to action or a subtle escalation in an already tense moment. Social media's rapid and divided reaction underscores just how fractured public perception has become. In today's hyper-partisan climate, the same event can be interpreted in vastly different ways depending on one's political leanings. But rather than viewing the exchange as a victory or defeat for either side, it may be more productive to see it as a lesson in the challenges of fostering genuine dialogue in an era dominated by soundbites and outrage. Ultimately, whether walking away from a heated argument damages one's credibility or demonstrates maturity depends heavily on context. Sometimes restraint is a strength, especially when the discussion ceases to be constructive. Other times, staying in appui. The conversation, however uncomfortable, may be essential for progress. Thank you for joining this conversation. If this content resonated with you and you'd like to stay informed on current debates, social issues, and political developments, we invite you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We appreciate your engagement and look forward to continuing the dialogue.